The wind howled like a wild animal outside Dr. Alex's mountain cabin. Snow fell so hard he could barely see 3 feet beyond his window. He'd been living alone in this remote research station for 5 years now, studying strange life forms that survived in extreme conditions. Tonight felt different, though. Something in the air made him restless. Alex was heating up his dinner when he heard a strange humming sound coming from outside. It wasn't the wind. This sound was musical, almost like someone singing a lullaby. He pressed his face against the cold window but saw nothing except swirling snow. The humming stopped suddenly. Then came a soft thud against his front door. Alex grabbed his flashlight and opened the door carefully. The freezing wind hit his face like needles. His flashlight beam swept across the porch until it landed on something that made his heart skip a beat. There, sitting in the snow, was a pod-like object about the size of a large watermelon. It glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. The surface looked smooth as glass, but warm to the touch when Alex knelt down to examine. It dot through the transparent shell. He could see something moving inside. Something small and alive. Alex's scientific mind raced. In all his years studying unusual organisms, he'd never seen anything like this. The glow wasn't coming from any external light source. Whatever was inside was creating its own light. He carried the pod inside, surprised by how light it felt, setting it gently on his kitchen table. Alex leaned closer to get a better look. Inside was what appeared to be an infant, but unlike any creature he'd ever encountered. The tiny being had skin that shimmered like moonlight on water. Its eyes were large and pearl-colored, and they seemed to track Alex's movements even through the pod's shell. Most remarkable of all, the creature's skin produced patterns of light that shifted and changed like a living constellation. Alex realized the little one was in trouble. The light patterns were flickering weakly, like a candle about to go out. Whatever this creature was, it was clearly unwell. He started taking readings with his equipment. The pod was giving off energy signatures unlike anything in his databases. The elements detected weren't found anywhere on Earth. Alex's hand shook slightly as he recorded his findings. As he worked, Alex noticed symbols appearing on the pod's surface. They glowed briefly, then faded, only to reappear in different patterns. It looked almost like writing, but in a language no human had ever seen. The symbols pulsed faster now, and Alex got the distinct feeling they were trying to tell him something urgent. The message felt desperate, like a cry for help written in light. Just then, he heard scratching at his door, soft at first, then more insistent. Alex froze. He lived 30 miles from the nearest neighbor. No one should be out in this storm. The scratching came again, weaker this time, followed by what sounded like a tired sigh. Against his better judgment, Alex opened the door again. What he saw made him gasp. Collapsed in the snow was a larger version of the creature in the pod. This one was clearly an adult, about the size of a tall human, but with the same shimmering skin and large, gentle eyes. The being was obviously female, and obviously the mother of the infant inside. Her skin, which should have been bright and luminous like her baby's, was dim and patchy. She looked starved and exhausted. Snow covered her strange, flowing garments that seemed to be made of the same material as her glowing skin. When she saw Alex, the mother being lifted her head with great effort. Her eyes met his, and in that moment, Alex felt something he'd never experienced before. Without words, without a shared language, he understood exactly what she was asking. Please help my baby. The mother tried to crawl toward the door, toward her child inside, but she was too weak. Her arms stretched out desperately, and Alex could see her skin attempting to create light patterns. But the glow kept fading. Alex didn't hesitate. He rushed outside and carefully lifted the alien mother. She was surprisingly light, as if her bones were hollow like a bird's. Her skin felt warm despite the freezing temperature, and he could feel a gentle vibration, like a cat's purr. As he carried her inside, the mother's eyes never left the pod containing her baby. The moment Alex set her down near the table, something beautiful happened. Both creatures began to glow brighter. The baby's light patterns became stronger and more active, while the mother's dim skin started showing faint traces of color. They We're communicating. Alex watched in amazement as waves of light passed between mother and child. The patterns were complex and seemed to carry emotion. He could almost feel the love and relief flowing between them, but the mother was still in bad shape. Alex could see she was dehydrated and malnourished. Whatever had brought her to his door, she'd been traveling for a long time in harsh conditions. Alex quickly prepared warm water and tried to figure out how to help. The mother seemed to understand his intentions. She touched his hand gently, and her skin glowed with what Alex interpreted as gratitude. As he worked to make both creatures comfortable, Alex's mind raced with questions. Where had they come from? How had they found his remote cabin? Were there others like them? But the biggest question was what to do next. Alex looked at the mother, who was now resting beside her baby's pod, one hand pressed against the transparent shell. The infant inside seemed calmer now, its light pattern steady and peaceful. These weren't just strange creatures to be studied. They were family. A mother and child who had somehow found their way to his door in their darkest hour. Alex made his decision in that moment. He would help them, no matter what it cost him. Just as he was settling them into his spare room, his satellite phone rang. The caller ID showed only block numbers and government codes. Alex stared at the phone as it rang again and again. Someone knew about his visitors. His hand hovered over the phone. Answer it, and his quiet life of research would be over. These gentle beings would likely become subjects in some secret government facility. Don't answer it. And he would become a fugitive protecting creatures the world wasn't ready to understand. The phone stopped ringing. In the sudden silence, Alex could hear the soft humming again. It was coming from both mother and child now, a peaceful lullaby that seemed to fill his cabin with warmth. Despite the raging storm outside, Alex looked at them and knew there was really no choice at all. He turned off his phone and began planning how to keep his new family safe. 3 days had passed since Alex found the alien mother and baby on his doorstep. The storm had finally cleared, leaving behind a world covered in pristine white snow. Inside his cabin, something incredible was happening. Alex had turned his spare room into a makeshift medical bay. He moved his research equipment there and created a warm, comfortable space for his unusual guests. The mother, who he'd started calling Luna because of her moonlight glow, was slowly getting stronger. At first, Alex wasn't sure how to help them. He tried offering Luna water, which she accepted gratefully, but regular food seemed to make her sick. It was Luna herself who showed him what she needed. One evening, as Alex sat nearby taking notes, Luna placed her hand on one of his electronic devices. Suddenly, the machine began glowing with the same soft light that came from her skin. Alex watched in amazement as Luna seemed to draw energy directly from the electricity. That's when he understood. Luna's people didn't eat food like humans. They fed on pure energy. Alex quickly set up a safe way for Luna to absorb power from his generator. Within hours, her skin became brighter and more colorful. The patches of dim, gray skin began to heal, revealing the beautiful shimmering surface underneath. But the baby was a different challenge. The little one, who Alex had named Star because of the way his skin sparkled, needed something more specific. Luna tried to show Alex through her light patterns, but he couldn't understand what she meant. It was Luna who taught him to really see her language. One morning, Alex noticed that Luna's skin glowed differently when she looked at Star versus when she looked at him. When she gazed at her baby, warm golden waves rippled across her arms and face. When she looked at Alex with appreciation, the light turned a gentle green. When she was worried, quick blue flashes appeared on her forehead. Alex started keeping a notebook, writing down what each color and pattern meant. Slowly, he began to understand Luna's emotions and even some of her thoughts. The breakthrough came when Star became fussy one night. The baby's light patterns were erratic, and he seemed uncomfortable. Luna's skin showed rapid blue worry flashes. As she tried to comfort him, Alex watched carefully as Luna placed both hands on Star's pod. Her skin began to glow with a steady purple light, and slowly, Star calmed down. The baby's own patterns synchronized with his mother's, until they were pulsing together in perfect harmony. That's when Alex realized something beautiful. Luna's people didn't just communicate with light, they shared emotions and energy directly. Through their skin, it was like they could feel each other's feelings. Alex tried an experiment. He placed his hand near Luna's arm, not quite touching. Luna looked surprised, then curious. She moved her hand closer to his until their skin was almost touching. Alex felt a warm, tingling sensation, and for just a moment, he could sense Luna's gratitude and affection like it was his own emotion. From that day forward, their communication improved dramatically. Luna began teaching Alex more complex patterns. She showed him how different colors meant different things: red for danger, yellow for happiness, white for peace. She even started spelling out simple concepts using light patterns that Alex could input into his computer for translation. Through these conversations, Alex learned pieces of Luna's story. She had come from very far away, traveling through space in what Alex understood was some kind of ship. There had been trouble on her home world, conflict and danger that forced her to flee with Star. Luna showed him images through her light patterns. Alex saw glimpses of a beautiful planet with crystal cities and beings of light living in harmony. But then the images turned dark, showing destruction and chaos. Luna had escaped, but the journey had been long and dangerous. She had specifically sought out Alex's remote location. Through her advanced technology, she had detected his research on unusual life forms. Luna's people were incredibly intelligent, and she had studied human communication enough to know that Alex might be more accepting of her than others would be. As the days passed, Alex found himself growing attached to both Luna and Star. He had been alone for so long that having them there filled an emptiness he hadn't even realized existed. When Star made happy chirping sounds, Alex felt his heart warm. When Luna's skin glowed with contentment as she watched Alex care for them, he felt truly useful. For the first time in years, Luna seemed to feel the same connection. She began including Alex in her bonding rituals with Star. When she shared energy with her baby, she would gesture for Alex to place his hand nearby. Though he couldn't directly connect like they did, Alex could feel the love and warmth flowing between them, and somehow he felt included in their little family. Star was growing rapidly. The baby was now twice the size he'd been when Alex first found him, and his abilities were developing too. Alex discovered that Star could influence electronic devices just by being near them. The baby seemed fascinated by Alex's computer, and sometimes the screen would flicker with patterns that matched Star's skin. But with each passing day, Alex grew more worried about discovery. His satellite phone continued to ring at odd hours. He never answered, but the calls were becoming more frequent. During the day, he sometimes heard aircraft flying overhead, and they seemed to be searching for something. Luna sensed his worry. Her skin showed the blue patterns of concern whenever Alex looked anxious. One evening, she took his hand and showed him images of men in dark uniforms. Through her light language, she made it clear that she understood the danger they were all in. Alex knew they couldn't stay hidden forever, but every day with Luna and Star felt precious. He had found something he never expected, a family that needed him as much as he needed them. As Alex tucked Star into his pod one night and watched Luna settle nearby, her skin glowing with peaceful white light, he made a silent promise. Whatever came next, whatever dangers they would face, he would protect them both. Outside, the wind picked up again, and Alex thought he heard the distant sound of helicopters. The hunt was getting closer, but for tonight, his strange little family was safe and together. Luna's skin pulsed once with warm golden light, her way of saying goodnight, and Alex felt more at home than he had in years. 2 weeks had passed since Alex first found Luna and Star. Life in the mountain cabin had settled into a peaceful routine, but that peace was about to be shattered. At a military base 50 miles away, Colonel Rivera stood in front of a wall of monitors showing satellite images and energy readings. She had been hunting unusual signals for 3 weeks now, ever since their systems detected something crashing in the Colorado mountains. Rivera wasn't like the other military officers. She had studied biology before joining the army. and she often wondered what they would do if they ever encountered life from other worlds. Now it seemed like she might find out. Her team had narrowed the search area down to a 10-mile radius around Alex's cabin. Dr. Peterson, their lead scientist, pointed to energy spikes on his computer screen. Whatever crashed up there is still active, Peterson said. These readings are unlike anything we've seen before. The energy signature is consistent with theoretical alien technology, Rivera nodded. But something bothered her about this mission. Her orders were simple: find and secure any extraterrestrial life forms. But what if these beings were peaceful? What if they were just lost and scared? Back at the cabin, Alex had no idea how close the military team was getting. He was too busy marveling at how much Star had grown. The alien baby was now the size of a human toddler and could move around outside his pod. For short periods, Star had developed an incredible ability to connect with electronic devices. When he touched Alex's computer, the screen would light up with beautiful patterns that seemed to tell stories. Alex realized that Star was naturally gifted with technology in ways humans could barely imagine. Luna watched her son's progress with obvious pride. Her skin glowed with warm yellow patterns whenever Star learned something new. But Alex noticed she also showed flashes of blue worry, especially when Star's abilities seemed to advance for his young age. One morning, Luna took Alex's hand and led him outside. Her skin was pulsing with urgent orange patterns, something Alex had learned meant important information. She pointed toward the mountains and showed him images through her light language. Alex saw pictures of a crashed ship hidden in a deep canyon. About 2 miles away, Luna was telling him about her journey to Earth and where her spacecraft had ended up. Through her glowing patterns, she explained that the ship contained important information about her people, information that could help Star understand his heritage. The trek to the canyon was difficult, but Luna seemed to know exactly where to go. When they finally reached the crash site, Alex gasped at what he saw. The ship was beautiful and completely unlike any human technology. It was made of the same shimmering material as Luna's skin and seemed to blend perfectly with the rocky canyon walls. Parts of it were badly damaged, but the main structure was intact inside. Alex discovered rooms filled with glowing panels and crystalline devices that hummed with energy. Luna moved through the ship with familiarity, touching various surfaces that responded to her presence with gentle light. She showed Alex records of her people's histories stored in light patterns on the walls. Alex saw images of a peaceful civilization that had mastered the ability to travel between stars. They were explorers and healers, not conquerors. But then the images turned dark. Luna's planet had been attacked by another species that wanted to harvest their unique energy abilities. Many of her people had been forced to flee, scattering across the galaxy to find new homes. Luna had chosen Earth because her research showed that humans had the capacity for kindness and acceptance. She had specifically looked for someone who studied unusual life forms, believing they would be more likely to help rather than harm her and Star. As they explored the ship, Alex found something that made his heart sink. The navigation systems were completely destroyed. Even if Luna wanted to leave Earth and find others of her kind, the ship could never fly again. This planet was now their permanent home. Luna seemed to understand Alex's thoughts. She placed her hand on his shoulder, and her skin glowed with peaceful white light. Through their connection, Alex felt her emotions. She wasn't sad about staying on Earth. She was grateful to have found a safe place for Star to grow up. But their peaceful moment was interrupted by the sound of helicopters in the distance. Alex and Luna hurried back to the cabin, but they could see military vehicles moving through the valley below. The search teams were getting closer, and it was only a matter of time before they found the cabin. That night, Alex made a difficult decision. He couldn't let Luna and Star be captured and turned into test subjects. They needed to disappear, at least until he could figure out a better solution. Alex had explored these mountains for years and knew of several caves that didn't show up on any maps. One cave system in particular was large enough to hide in and had a natural hot spring that could provide energy for Luna as they prepared to leave the cabin. Star seemed to sense the danger. The young alien's skin flashed with worried blue patterns, and he clung to both Alex and Luna. At that moment, something amazing happened. Star looked directly at Alex and, in a small but clear voice, said his first word in English, "Papa." Alex felt tears in his eyes, in all the uncertainty and fear. This little being had chosen to call him father. Luna's skin glowed with warm golden light, and Alex realized she approved of Star's choice. The three of them had become a real family, even if they looked nothing like each other. As military helicopters circled closer, Alex loaded supplies into his backpack. Luna gathered the few items she had brought from her ship, including a small crystalline device that contained memories of her people. Star rode on Alex's shoulders as they made their way through the forest toward the hidden caves. The little alien was fascinated by the trees and animals, his skin glowing with curious yellow patterns at every new sight. Behind them, searchlights swept through the forest. The hunt had begun in earnest, but Alex was determined to keep his family together. In the distance, Colonel Rivera watched the search teams through her binoculars. Something told her that when they finally found these alien visitors, the encounter would change everything for everyone involved. The cave was cold and dark, but it felt like the safest place in the world to Alex. He had found this hidden spot years ago during his research trips, and now it was sheltering the most important people in his life. Luna sat near the natural hot spring, her skin glowing softly as she absorbed energy from the warm water. Star played nearby, fascinated by the way his light patterns reflected off the cave walls. The little alien had grown so much in just a few weeks. He was now walking confidently and could speak several English words. Outside, Alex could hear helicopters flying back and forth across the mountain. The search teams had been looking for 3 days straight, and they were getting closer to the cave system. Colonel Rivera stood in the command tent, studying thermal imaging displays with growing frustration. Her team had searched every building, an obvious hiding spot within a 20-mile radius. Whatever had crashed in these mountains seemed to have vanished completely. But Rivera was smart, and she was starting to piece things together. The energy readings were strongest near Dr. Alex's research station, but the building had been empty when they searched it. Personal items were still there, including research notes about extreme organisms, but Alex himself was nowhere to be found. Colonel Dr. Peterson called out, pointing to his screen. "I'm picking up faint energy traces leading north from the research station. It's very weak, but it follows the pattern we've been tracking." Rivera nodded. "Get me a map of every cave, mine shaft, and natural shelter in that direction. If someone's hiding our targets, they'll need somewhere warm and protected." Back in the cave, Alex was teaching Star how to skip stones across the underground pool. The young alien was a quick learner and seemed to enjoy the simple human game. His skin sparkled with happy yellow patterns every time a stone bounced successfully. Luna watched them play with obvious joy. Through their shared connection, Alex could feel her gratitude and love. She had found safety for her child and a partner who cared for them both. But Alex also sensed her worry about the future. That evening, as Star slept peacefully between them, Luna showed Alex something that made his heart race with fear. Her skin displayed images of the military teams, and she made it clear that she could sense their approach. Her people had abilities that went beyond just communication. They could feel the intentions of others from a distance. Luna's skin flashed with urgent orange patterns. The soldiers would find them within a day, maybe less. Alex knew they had to move again, but Star was getting tired from all the traveling. The little alien needed stability and rest to continue growing properly. Alex made a difficult decision. He would go out and try to mislead the search teams, while Luna and Star stayed hidden. Luna immediately understood his plan, and her skin blazed with worried blue light. She took his hand and tried to convince him. It was too dangerous, but Alex had made up his mind. His family needed protection, and this was the only way. Before leaving, Alex taught Star a new game: hide and seek. The clever little alien quickly understood that he needed to keep his skin dim and stay very quiet. Star's natural camouflage abilities were improving every day. and he could now blend almost perfectly with the cave walls. Alex made his way carefully through the forest, leaving obvious tracks that led away from the cave. He wanted the search teams to follow him instead of finding Luna and Star. His plan was working until he spotted something that made his blood run cold. A team of soldiers was climbing toward the cave entrance. They had found it despite his efforts to mislead them. Alex ran back as fast as he could, but he could already hear voices echoing from inside the cave system. He arrived just in time to see flashlight beams moving deeper into the tunnels. Inside the cave, Luna had sensed the approaching danger. She quickly gathered Star and moved deeper into the cave system, toward passages that Alex had shown her during their explorations. Star stayed remarkably calm, his skin dim and quiet as his mother carried him, but the soldiers were persistent and well-equipped. Their thermal imaging devices were picking up heat signatures even in the deepest parts of the cave. Colonel Rivera entered the cave personally, leading a small team of her most trusted soldiers. Unlike the others, she wasn't carrying a weapon. Something told her that aggression would be the wrong approach. If they actually found alien life forms. Luna reached a dead end in the cave system with Star in her arms. They were trapped, and she could hear footsteps getting closer. In desperation, she pressed herself and Star against the cave wall, using all her strength to keep their skin dark and camouflaged. Star looked up at his mother with complete trust. Even though he was scared, he believed Luna would keep him safe. The little alien pressed his small hand against his mother's cheek, and both their skins glowed briefly with shared love and courage. That's when the flashlight beam found them. Colonel Rivera stopped breathing when she saw them. After weeks of searching and wondering, she was finally face to face with beings from another world. But instead of the monsters she had half expected, she saw something that touched her heart deeply, a mother holding her child, both of them trembling, with fear but still trying to protect each other. Luna's skin flickered with desperate light patterns, trying to communicate that they meant no harm. Star peeked out from behind his mother, his large eyes reflecting the flashlight beam with innocent curiosity. Rivera slowly lowered her flashlight and held up her hands to show she wasn't threatening them. She had 2 children of her own back. Home, and the sight of this alien mother protecting her baby awakened every protective instinct she had. "It's okay," Rivera said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." Just then, Alex came running into the cave, placing himself between the soldiers and his alien family. "Please," he said, breathing hard. "They're not dangerous. They're just trying to survive." Rivera looked at Alex, then back at Luna and Star. The little alien was now clinging to both his mother and Alex, and it was clear that this human man had become part of their family unit. Star did something then that changed everything. He looked directly at Colonel Rivera and, in his small, clear voice, said, "Mama's scared." Those two simple words, spoken by an alien child trying to explain his mother's fear, melted Rivera's heart completely. She realized that these beings weren't specimens to be studied or threats to be contained. They were a family, just like her own family back home. Rivera made a decision that would change all their lives. She turned to her soldiers and said, "Stand down. We need to talk." The hunt was over, but now the real challenge would begin, figuring out how to keep this special family together in a world that wasn't ready to understand them. The cave fell silent except for the gentle sound of water dripping somewhere in the darkness. Colonel Rivera stood facing Alex, Luna, and Star, while her soldiers waited behind her for orders that could change everything. Star peeked out from behind Alex's legs, his skin glowing with curious patterns as he studied the soldiers. The little alien wasn't afraid anymore. Children have an amazing ability to sense when adults mean them no harm. Rivera knelt down slowly, making herself less threatening. "Hello there, little one," she said gently to Star. The alien child tilted his head, processing her kind tone, then stepped forward bravely. Star's skin began to glow with the warm yellow patterns that Alex had learned meant happiness and curiosity. The little alien was trying to communicate with Rivera in the only way he knew how. "He's trying to talk to you," Alex explained, his voice still tense with worry. His people communicate through light patterns on their skin. Rivera watched in amazement as Star created beautiful flowing lights across his small body. It was like watching a living constellation, and she felt tears forming in her eyes at the pure beauty of it. Luna stepped forward cautiously, her own skin showing protective blue patterns. She placed her hand on Star's shoulder, ready to pull him back if needed. But as she studied Rivera's face, something seemed to reassure her. "You have children," Luna said suddenly, speaking in careful English. Her voice was soft and musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Rivera's eyes widened in surprise. "You can speak our language?" "I learn," Luna replied. "I watch. I listen. Your eyes, they look at Star like mother looks at child." Rivera nodded slowly. "I have the kids at home. A boy and a girl, not much older than him." She gestured toward Star, who was now examining her uniform with intense curiosity. Dr. Peterson, one of Rivera's team members, stepped forward excitedly. "Colonel, this is incredible. We're looking at the first confirmed extraterrestrial life forms in human history. We need to bring them in for study immediately." "No," Rivera said firmly. "We're not bringing anyone anywhere." Peterson looked confused. "But our orders on changing our orders," Rivera interrupted. She looked back at the alien family, seeing how Alex had his arms protectively around both Luna and Star. "These aren't specimens, Peterson. They're refugees. They're a family." Over the next hour, sitting in the cave by the warm spring, Rivera listened to their incredible story. Alex explained how he had found them, how Luna had been starving and desperate when she left Star at his door. Luna, growing more comfortable with English, told Rivera about the destruction of her home world and her dangerous journey to Earth. Star, meanwhile, had decided that Rivera was friendly. He sat next to her, showing off his light patterns and trying to teach her simple words in his light language. When Rivera successfully mimicked one of his patterns using her flashlight, Star clapped his hands with delight. "What happens now?" Alex asked, voicing the question they were all thinking. Rivera was quiet for a long moment. She thought about her own children and what she would want someone to do if they were lost and alone on a strange world. She thought about her duty as a soldier versus her responsibility as a human being. Officially, Rivera said finally, "My report will state that we found traces of an unknown meteor impact, but no sign of surviving material or life forms. The energy readings will be classified as naturally occurring electromagnetic anomalies." Alex felt his heart skip with hope, and unofficially, Dr. Alex will become a government consultant on theoretical xenobiology. That will give you legal cover and funding to continue your research in these mountains. It will also explain why you sometimes have unusual energy readings around your facility. Luna's skin glowed with grateful golden patterns as she understood what Rivera was offering them. Safety, protection, a chance for Star to grow up without fear. 6 months later, life had settled into a wonderful new routine. Alex's cabin had been expanded with government funding, creating comfortable living spaces that met both human and alien needs. Luna had her own energy absorption room, and Star had a playroom filled with both human toys and devices that responded to his natural abilities. Star was growing rapidly and learning every day. He could now speak English fluently, though he still preferred to express emotions through his beautiful light patterns. The little alien attended virtual school sessions with human children, though his camera was always positioned to show only his hands and voice. The other children loved their mysterious new classmate who could make lights dance and who always had the most creative answers to their teachers' questions. Star was careful to hide his alien nature, but his kindness and curiosity made him popular with his human friends. Luna had become invaluable to Alex's research. Her advanced understanding of energy and biology led to breakthroughs that could someday benefit all of humanity. She was working on clean energy solutions that could help save Earth's environment. But the most beautiful change was in Alex himself. The lonely scientist had become a devoted father and partner. He taught Star how to ride a bicycle, helped with homework, and read bedtime stories. Luna and Alex had developed their own way of communicating that combined English, light patterns. In simple touch, Colonel Rivera visited regularly, officially to check on the research project, but really to see how the family was doing. Star always ran to greet her, calling her Aunt Rivera and showing off everything new he had learned. One evening, as Alex tucked Star into bed, the little alien looked up at him with those large, wise eyes. "Papa," Star said thoughtfully, "are there other families like ours in the universe?" Alex smiled. "I don't know, son, but I hope so. I hope that wherever they are, they're as happy as we are." Star's skin glowed with peaceful white light as he drifted off to sleep. Outside his window, the stars shone brightly in the clear mountain sky, and somewhere among them were other worlds where other families might be finding their way to each other. In the kitchen, Luna was making tea using a method that combined human techniques with her natural energy abilities. Alex wrapped his arms around her from behind, and her skin glowed with the warm golden patterns that meant perfect contentment. They had found something neither of them had been looking for, but both desperately needed: a home, where love was more important than appearance, where family was defined by care rather than biology, and where the differences between them made their bond even stronger. As they stood together looking out at the stars, Alex realized that sometimes the most extraordinary gifts come in the most unexpected packages. A desperate mother's plea for help had given him the family he never knew he wanted, and in return, he had given them something just as precious: a place where they belonged. Their story was proof that love truly knows no boundaries, not even the vast distances between stars.